Welcome to GEMA webinar. So we are privileged to have among us Dr. V.T.S. Pavan Kumar from the Catalyst Group as the speaker from industry. Dr. V.T.S. Pavan Kumar is a scientist and techno-commercial leader with over 20 years of experience in biotechnology research, product development, and commercialization. Currently serving as Vice President and R&D at Catalyst Group. He brings a strong track record of translating innovative science into scalable, market-ready business solutions. His expertise span biotechnology, molecular biology, enzymes discovery, and bioinformatic-driven research, complemented by deep knowledge of quality system and regulatory frameworks. He has led the development of over 20 industrial technologies, filed multiple patents, and played a pivotal role in establishing advanced R&D infrastructure, including a DSIR-recognized synthetic biology lab known for his strategic leadership. He excels in guiding cross-functional team and driving techno-commercial initiatives that accelerate market adoption and create sustainable revenue-generating growth for biotechnology products. I would now invite to our knowledge partner to start knowledge share. Over to you, Dr. Kumar.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rekha. Good evening, all. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedules and then attending this webinar. Once again, a very warm welcome. As we all know, the ethanol industry, when it has started, we used to achieve more than 80-85% FEs. We used to be very happy. But as and when the technological advancements has progressed, and then we started adapting those technologies and we started adapting those methodologies, new methodologies, improvements, as and when these things are started progressing, we started setting up higher and higher standards. For example, from 80% FEs to we started setting up 85% FEs, and after that 90. And currently, if we see, we are achieving anywhere between more than 90-92% FE in the ethanol production. It is a never-ending story. It's like a journey. So when we are doing this, always we find some gaps, and always we try to adopt new technologies which can address those gaps and then take it forward and achieve higher heights. So during this process, if we look at it, the current scenario, so much of dependency is there for the country on the ethanol industry. So we also has to gear up and equip ourselves with a lot of new technologies that has come into the market, and try to see if we can also get benefit out of it, and then as well as we serve the country with very good achievements. So coming to this, today I am going to touch upon one of the technology which is very well accepted across the globe. Of course, in my previous webinar in GEMA, I have touched two technologies. One is the high performance liquid chromatography, which is we call it as HPLC, and the second one is NIR. So today I am going to give more insights in terms of HPLC, how it is going to help us to improve our existing process with respect to the ethanol fermentation. So as we all know, the fermentation is the key step in the ethanol production, and this is where the ethanol is getting produced, and later steps it is more of extracting it or maybe distilling it to the final product. So it is one of the key steps, and we still have a lot of opportunity to improve in this particular step. So let us discuss how we can, what are the current gaps, and then how we can improve this. If you look at the current methodologies or the methods which used to monitor the fermentation step or the fermentation process, most of these methods are manual methods. So these are very old methods. Yes, these are gold standards, no doubt in it. In the beginning of the era, we used to have these things, and even today majority of the plants are using these manual methods to estimate the final alcohol, or maybe to monitor the process, how it is going on. But as I mentioned it to you, as and when the technologies are getting advanced, so we also need to set higher standards and try to achieve it. So one more challenge with the current methodologies is these methods are highly operator dependent. For example, if I am doing the analysis, even if I repeat it for the second time, I won't get the same result as I get for the first time. So, and forget about myself. And if the two analysts are doing it, then the results will be completely different. So there is a high amount of inconsistency in these results. So this is also another challenge with the existing methodologies. Of course, when we see these methodologies, these will give only the qualitative parameters in a way, or some kind of hint how the process is going on, but it won't give us the exact insights, or I would say real-time visibility of how the fermentation process is moving, whether the process is moving smooth, are there any hindrance, or maybe any tweakings we need to do, or any improvements we have to take, or maybe we have to do any enzyme addition. So all these things, it is like we are unaware we are using the current methodologies. So if we look at the process just to understand how it is moving, we need to have certain parameters like glycerol, acetic acid, the sugar profile, and how the other metabolites, or we call it as byproducts, are getting formed in the process. These will give us, apart from the regular RS, RST, and then VA, what we estimate in the fermentation process, if we start measuring these parameters, so which will give us more insights in terms of how the fermentation process is running. For example, if we see if there is a huge amount of glycerol is forming, then we can understand that there is a stress on yeast, and we have to take appropriate measures according to the root cause. And if there is a high amount of lactic acid, it signals that it is a contamination issue, so we have to address that contamination. If the sugar profile, depending on how the sugar is getting formed, or how the sugar is broken down by using the enzymes, and then how it is getting consumed, we know how the process efficiency is going. And then other metabolites like acetic acid, these things will give us an idea how the other metabolites are getting formed, and how we have to control the process. So if we look at the current scenario, the methods which we are using are manual methods, and having very operator dependency, and then which lacks the real-time visibility on how the process is moving. So basically we have to focus on the other parameters in case if we want to bring improvements in the fermentation process. So with this, we started sharing information, and then doing the knowledge sessions at various places. And what we have done is we also started a concept called mobile HPLC, and we started keeping these HPLC machines at different plants, and then trying to educate the plant people to make them understand how their process is running and what kind of improvements they can take it up. So this is one of the case study which I am going to present in the today's webinar, where we have used HPLC in a 300 KL distillery, which is basically in the North Indian region, how we have monitored their process, and then how we could bring the improvements in their existing process, so that if there is a real value of using these kind of advanced equipment, how it is going to do a value addition, we could clearly see. So this is almost like from past 1.5 months, 2 months, we are doing this exercise, and till now we have analyzed more than 60-70 batches of the process samples. And of course, during these 60 days, there are a lot of changes with respect to the feedstock, like FCA rice, DFG rice, and then maize. These shiftings are keep on happening, which is a normal tendency at the plant. The parameters which we were mainly focusing was using HPLC was on ethanol, lactic acid, glycerol, and DP sugars. So these are the 4 parameters which are key in terms of understanding how the process is moving. So let me explain what was the scenario before we started this HPLC activity at the plant. So before we started the activity, there is no clear measurement of glycerol, lactic acid, and DP profile at the plant, and then there is no clear visibility on how the yeast is performing. And lot of methods are, like as I mentioned it to you, those are qualitative methods, and we could not identify the root cause. For example, in certain cases, if the fermentation is moving slow or it is getting stuck, we could not know, or we do not know exactly why it is happening. So with this, majority of the actions, or the implementations that are going at plant are in a reactive manner rather than in a proactive or predictive manner. So this is the scenario before starting the HPLC activity at that particular plant. And coming back to the activity, what we have done using HPLC. So it will be there in everyone's mind what you people have done it. So what we changed is we started doing this stage-wise analysis. For example, starting from the liquefaction process to the transfer to the distillation. So every stage we have kept certain protocols, and then we have started collecting the samples and analyzed using HPLC. And wherever we see certain deviations in the parameters, we started suggesting the plant to take up appropriate corrective actions so that these parameters will come back to the allowed levels or the standard levels. So in some cases, we also suggested them to use certain antimicrobials, and as well as certain cases it is like the yeast is not able to tolerate higher sugars, and then when it is coming under stress, we also suggested them to change the yeast strain so that they can see the improvement. So by doing these improvements with the help of HPLC monitoring, what really changed was the plant hygiene got improved a lot, and then the yeast performance was drastically changed, and then a better monitoring process started, and even plant has understood like what should be the gold standard. In the coming slides, I will explain what is the gold standard, but the plant has understood what should be their targeted. For example, if I have to really say that my process is running smooth, which parameters I have to take it as a standard parameters. So this activity was done with the help of HPLC. So the outcome was it's like we could reduce the parameters which are creating unnecessary drain in the process or loss, I would say, to the several extents. So the overall output, if we see, if you allow me to summarize the overall improvement, what we could see at the plant, out of 60 batches were analyzed, there is a 27% decrease in the DP sugars. The final RST values has decreased by 27%, whereas the ethanol was maintained stably at the plant, irrespective of the variations in the feedstock and the other parameters. And lactic acid levels were reduced by 32%, and glycerol was reduced by 9%. So it is a huge improvement, where if we really try to convert these improvements into equivalent to the ethanol per batch, it is equivalent to 6,798 liters of alcohol. So it is a good saving. Actually, these savings are coming from the losses. If we prevent the losses, or if we prevent the drain that is happening in the process, obviously these things will get converted into our gains. So this is the overall summary, and we will go into the details like how we have done it in parameter by parameter. So if we look at the lactic acid profile, as we all know, lactic acid forms in the process, in the ethanol process, due to the bacterial contamination. So whenever we see there is a sudden spike of lactic acid, it's like we could sense that the process is going, process got contaminated, and we need to take appropriate actions. But in the current scenario, there is no clear measurement, but with the help of HPLC, we can actually measure the lactic acid levels precisely at different time intervals, which gives us an indication like at what point of the fermentation process, at what step the lactic acid levels are going up. And we can also figure out, once we know where it is going up, we can also figure it out whether it is coming from the feedstock, or it may be coming from the recycling streams, or it may be coming from the processed water, or it may be from the pipelines. So depending on these root cause identification, if we take the appropriate action, so we can actually address the lactic acid issue. So with the help of HPLC, when we started measuring it, it is going beyond 0.7%, and sometimes you can see in the graph, in the initial phases, it was up to 1.2, 1.3%, which is a huge amount of contamination, which indicates the contamination levels. But if we look at it, the ideal scenario should be around 0.5% alcohol, 0.5% lactic acid. So when we started working with the plant and then we started analyzing the results, we suggested them, we initially we identified at what step it is increasing, and then we suggested or requested plant to take necessary steps, and after that the lactic acid levels started coming down. Of course, you can see certain spikes in between. These are because of the feedstock changes and other stuff. And even in the at the fag end, there is a clear spike of lactic acid levels, which is basically due to the contaminated raw material which is coming. So the appropriate actions were taken, and after that you can see it is slowly started coming down. And today it has reached the optimal level of 0.5. So from starting from 1.2% to it is like achieving below zero point 0.5 levels. It is like it is a very good improvement, which actually we can do it if we consistently are we monitor the process continuously at on-site with these kind of equipment. Coming to the second parameter, which is basically the glycerol. As we all know, glycerol is the early signal or the sign for the yeast stress. So the more glycerol it is getting produced, it is like the glucose pathway is getting converted towards glycerol rather than alcohol. So approximately if we see one glycerol molecule, we can say that a loss of one alcohol molecule. So yes, it is glycerol is required to keep yeast safe, to handle the various other stress that is coming from the fermentation process, maybe the due to the sugar load and then due to the other effluent load. But if it is going beyond a certain point, if it is going above 1%, it is like alarming thing. So we need to have clear controls to identify this, monitor this, and then take necessary action. So we have started doing this exercise. In the initial phase of the monitoring, we could see that the levels are at 1.2%, whereas slowly after working with the plant, with the help of plant team, we could reduce it and we can bring it down below 1% and reaching around 0.95%, which is a huge significant improvement with respect to the stress. So this is the second parameter which we worked out. And when it comes to the third parameter, the DP sugars means normally we at the plant we take out all the sugars that are left out, which will give us an indicatory value of how much sugar was left after the fermentation. Actually, this is like our yield which was left out, but we do not have any criteria to see and understand what these RS or residual sugars consist of. How much of it is DP1, how much of it is DP2, DP3, DP4. This actually gives us an indication or gives us some hint like how these enzymes which we are using are performing in the fermentation process. If we are getting more DP4, that means DP4 is not getting broken down into DP1. So accordingly, we can work with the enzyme combinations and maybe with the enzyme dosages or maybe with the enzyme dosage points to ensure we get as minimal as these sugars left at the end of the fermentation. So when we started this, of course, these throughout the fermentation, these levels were below of 0.5%. But still we worked with the plant in terms of optimizing the enzyme dosages and then optimizing the yeast dosages. We could bring it down from average of 0.3 to 0.22%, which is an absolute change of 0.08 absolute and relative reduction of 27%. As the target, as I mentioned it to you, it has to be below 0.5 and then we could bring it on to 0.22, which is a very good achievement, and then which has saved a lot of sugars, help to convert those sugars into alcohol. So as I mentioned it to you some time back, in fact, this particular exercise will give us how to identify the golden batch. The golden batch is nothing but what is the best process, or how do I run the process in the best way. That means how much byproducts I can limit, how much alcohol I can achieve, and then how much sugars I can leave it behind. So these things will be these things can be ascertained, or we can understand from doing this particular HPLC monitoring exercise. So when we run these batches and then try to understand at which batch has this golden batch score. For example, if we look at these four parameters and if we compare these four parameters alone, our objective is to produce more ethanol, having less remaining sugars, and producing very little or minimal glycerol, and not having with any contamination. So the DP sugars, lactic acid, glycerol, these levels should be minimal, whereas our ethanol level should be as much higher as possible. So when we have quantified or when we have done this particular analysis, what we found was that there was a batch 37 which was running, which gave the very best score. We have normalized these four parameters and then we have given scoring. So the 10 is the maximum what we can achieve, and whereas the best batch is 8.4. So this could be the maximum possible best batch at that given scenario. This has become a gold standard or a standard for us for the upcoming batches. So as and when we start working on the improvement spot, maybe we can further increase our scale and then reach as much as possible during this process. So HPLC will not only give us the process indications but also help us to set our own standards, our own targets in the fermentation process. So this will be very useful tool to understand really how am I able to run the process. So if we try to quantify these losses, for example, the whatever we have done, we have reduced the glycerol, we have reduced the lactic acid, we could minimize the residual sugars. If we try to quantify those parameters in terms of alcohol, what we could see is at least from the lactic acid control, there is a huge amount of alcohol being saved. That means it is, if we reduce the alcohol, if we have reduced the lactic acid by 35%, which is equivalent to the 4,000 liters of ethanol. The similar way, by reducing the glycerol by 9%, we could save equivalent of 1200 liters of ethanol. By reducing the residual sugar from 0.3% to 0.2%, which is basically 0.08 difference, which is a change of 27%, we could save 742 liters of ethanol. So if we try to club all these things per batch, more than 6,000 liters of alcohol alcohol losses were saved using the same feedstock, same amount of energy, or same amount of the same way running the process. We could do these improvements only with the help of HPLC. So now if we see the taking the decisions with some assumptions and then without having the insights, and compared to taking decisions from the data driven decisions, basically from the reactive to predictive mode, if we see, there is a huge amount of improvement that plants can gain out of this particular exercise. So the key message what we can infer or what we can gain from this particular aspect is, we can only improve the process, improve the things which we are actually able to measure or able to see. As of today, we are not able to see these parameters at the plant level, except few who has the HPLCs at their plant. But all these things, if we start monitoring it, it is going to give us huge benefits and huge profits. So what is the thing that is currently stopping the industry to use the HPLCs? Well, first of all, the thing is like we are not very well versed with these advanced technologies like the Western world. In US, each and every plant will not run without any HPLC. The HPLC is like a must, like how we used to have a chemist, lab chemist at our labs. The similar way, minimum one HPLC should be there in each and every lab in the US. So this is a big difference when compared to the Western distilleries and then to Indian scenario. Currently, we do not have this at all the plants, and then this is a very good scope for us to improve on it. And one more challenge that is currently industry is facing is they do not want to invest on high capex. So once I invest on the machine, and after that I have to regularly have these ongoing cost of annual AMCs and then paying 4 to 5 lakhs every year for maintaining the equipment, and then on top of it I need to have a proper skilled manpower who can manage this instrument. Managing this instrument is a big headache. If we don't properly manage it, if we don't properly run it, the instrument will not give us the right results. So managing this instrument needs a skilled manpower, which is a very big challenge in the current scenario. Given the plants are at the remote locations and people may not willing to migrate, the skilled people may not willing to migrate to these plants. Maintaining the manpower at these plants is a key challenge, and operational complexity. For example, we need to have different standards, we need to have different reagents to quantify, calibrate these equipment, and to do the method development whenever it is required is a add-on operational complexity to the current process. And majority of the people are not aware of the ROI. What is the ROI that I am going to get out of this machine? So that is also not very well aware to the people. Because of this, these are the current barriers if we see in the industry. So what Catalyst has done is Catalyst has come up with a solution to this in terms of introducing a SaaS model based HPLC systems. So depending on the requirement of the people, we used to keep, or we used to manage all these things. Whatever the barriers are there, all these barriers are being managed by the Catalyst team. So starting from the equipment purchase and setting it up, developing methods, maintaining the consumables, and then having a trained on-site analyst at the plant who can do the analysis, and then creating the SOPs in terms of reporting, and then in terms of identifying the deviations. And not only that, whenever they see any deviation, they immediately alert the plant team and also the other technical team which are available at the plant to address the deviation. So if any deviation is observed, immediately they will take appropriate steps to inform the plant team, so that with the help of plant team will take care of the gaps which are coming in the process, and they can actually work on rectifying or correcting the process and improving the yields. So the data interpretation, like how do we have to interpret the HPLC results, and then how we have to take up the actions depending on the deviations. For example, what I have to do if my lactic acid levels are going up, what I have to do if my glycerol levels are going up, what to do if DP4 is increasing, what to do if DP3 is increasing, what to do if my yeast is not able to consume all the sugars. So all these advisory related steps will also be provided by Catalyst. So without having any investment or any of these headaches or the barriers, so there is a solution that is available. This we have done it considering our client base as well as the current challenges which industry is facing, and then we decided to support the industry with these kind of services. So coming back to the aspect, why only Catalyst? It's like why Catalyst has to do. There are many instrument providers who are providing the instrument, and then why can't we set it up? As I mentioned it to you in the barriers section, it's like we need to have a proper skilled manpower to maintain the instrument, and then have it regularly run, and understand and analyze the data in a proper way, and then take the necessary steps at the appropriate time is a very key thing. This can be possible with the proven track record of Catalyst. As we all know, the Catalyst is 23-year-old company who is having its existence in the ethanol industry, and we have created more than 14,200 crores worth of measurable benefits, and with to our 1135 plus clients across 25 countries. So the deep domain knowledge with respect to the R&D, with respect to the process monitoring, ethanol process monitoring, and with respect to the HPLC or chromatography related services. So our team is very well skilled and equipped enough to understand these gaps and then immediately take actions to support you. So in a way, it is not just providing something, and actually we drive the results and we try to scale the trust. So that is how the Catalyst is trying to make a measurable impact with your processes, with your help. So we are happy to collaborate with you and then take this forward. And not only with respect to the as installing the machine, even if you have any queries or anything in terms of understanding how it works, all those things, we are very happy to take it up. Thank you very much for your time, and you are most welcome for any queries if you have.
Question is
Hello.
now open for questions. Please feel free to ask your. Yes, sir. Please. Any questions from the participant side?
Hi, Pavanji. This is Neeraj Pratapmal from Kripco Green Energy. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. This is Neeraj Pratapmal from Kripco Green Energy. In the last webinar, you have suggested NIR TA 7250. And this time you are suggesting the HPLC. So, in the contest, in the current scenario, comparing the cost of both equipment, so are you suggesting both equipment are necessary for the ethanol lab, or can we kept any one instrument to analyze the all these parameter what you have described just now?
A very good question, sir. Thank you very much. So, during my last webinar, the context was like to give you insights about the technologies that are available in the market. So, what kind of technologies are available in the market to do the process monitoring? So, HPLC is one of it, and then NIR is the second of it. So, if we actually look at it, HPLC is widely accepted. NIR is also widely accepted, but HPLC has better reach in India as of today. But yes, coming back to your question, if you ask me, both the machines would help us to complement each other and provide us the better insights. But in case if we have the cost constraints and other things, depending on the kind of nature or the kind of challenge we have at the plant, we can have any one of these instruments. So both the technologies are completely different and they work, and both are very well validated. There is no challenge in it. Depending on the cost, depending on the affordability, and depending on the need, we can adopt any one of these.
Sir,
If you ask me, preferably I would say both, because HPLC will take a run of 45 minutes to give you the insights, whereas NIR will give you very quick update. So when you are monitoring the end results or maybe at the midpoints, HPLC will be more suitable. But if you are doing the process monitoring at regular intervals, maybe at every 1 hour or 2 hours, if you want to do it with the limited manpower, then NIR would be the better option.
and which one is the more user friendly, HPLC or NRI?
If you ask
In
me
terms
with
of
respect to the usability, NIR would be more user friendly, because with a minimal skill set person also can handle it or can run it, provided if they have the right calibration packages in it. Majority of the challenges which we are seeing in the ethanol industry is people are buying the instrument. It's like I'm buying the car, but I'm not using the right fuel in it. So if we don't have the proper calibrated packages inside the machine, inside the NIR machine, then the results will not be reliable. So that is the thing. Otherwise, with respect to the usage of the instrument, NIR is far easier compared to HPLC.
And what about the cost difference between these two instruments?
So the cost difference approximately it will be double. The HPLC cost से थोड़ा सा महंगा है NIR, because of the user friendliness, because of the fast at the fast it will give. For example, HPLC, as I mentioned it to you, it may take 45 minutes runtime to give one result, whereas NIR will be giving us in a minute, maximum in a minute time. So HPLC is a little cost effective compared to NIR.
Okay.
Sir, this is
And,
Deepak Jha.
sir,
This is Deepak Jha from Inland Green Energy. We have NIR installed from the FOSS, and last 6 months we are not getting the correct result. There are lots of variation in grains, this value, moisture, and then protein. Then what to do? I mean,
Sir, as I mentioned it to you, basically you got the machine, but maybe the packages were not properly calibrated. So you have to get the proper calibration package. It is similar to the software. We got a laptop. In laptop, we will be installing the software, right? the Windows or maybe Mac OS. Similar way, we have to have the right calibration packages or the updated calibration packages available in the machine. Then only we can get the clear results. So probably you can check with the instrument provider to see if they can give you the updated calibration package. Then it will start giving you the results.
Sir, do we have any inline monitoring system for this fermenter was and then this alcohol etc., so that we can get this value on the DCS on the regular basis as we are getting for the steam and the power like that way?
Sir, yes, the NIR technology, in fact, the online or inline NIR technologies are available where you can get these results on how you are getting it in the current scenario with respect to the steam, temperature, pH, how you are getting it. The similar way you can also get it with that.
They give the real time data.
Yes.
Do you have any installation in India?
Sorry. I need to check, sir, but definitely yes. In US, many places it is available. In India, we have to check. As far as my knowledge, I know there is no such installation in India.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Hello.
Anji, sir.
Yeah. Hello, Dr. Pavan.
Yes, sir. Please tell me.
Yeah. Thank you for your presentation. And just to understand, could you please elaborate why RS percent is usually reversed during the retention phase, and what is the possible causes of it, and how to avoid it?
Sorry, sir. Could you please come again? What is the reason for RS?
RS reversal. I mean, once it is getting 0.2, 0.3, it is getting back again 0.4, 0.6. Why this is happening in the retention phase? After RS is reaching at the normal level, it is getting reversed again.
Sir, you are referring to the graph or you are referring to the general scenario?
I'm referring to a specific case study of our fermenter in this company, PGIPL HP plant. And
Okay.
just wanted to understand why it is happening. And Catalyst team are working for the last 2 months. And just trying to understand from your perspective.
Sir, it could be two reasons. There could be two reasons. The first one is when we are measuring the RS, at that time the total conversion of starch might have not. I mean, starch might have got broken down, but into smaller molecules, but it was not completely broken down into the simpler sugars. So after retention or maybe after giving some kind of incubation or after giving some time, what happens is the enzymes inside the fermenter will be keep on working. So when these things are working, it is further breaking down. So maybe this particular reason could be the exact. I mean, I have to understand the exact scenario, but this could be one of the reason where when you are initially checking it, it is not into the complete smaller sugar molecules. But after some time when you are checking it, the enzymes which are present in the fermenter are hydrolyzing the bigger molecules into smaller molecules and we are getting increased RS. Hello. Hello. I think we lost him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got back my connection. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sir, hope I answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Shulji.
So any other question?
Anshul is having one question
Yes, sir, please.
from Zircon.
Yes, sir, please ask your question.
अंशुल सर प्लीज आप म्यूट पे हैं.
Hi there, Pavan sir. This
हाँ जी
is
सर,
Anshul
बताइए.
from Zircon Advance with our unit head Kamlesh Kumar Singh ji.
नमस्कार सर,
So,
बताइए.
हमने देखा आपका भी पूरा सेमिनार. We came across with one more other than HPLC, this NIR technology, whatever. I don't remember. I haven't heard about that before. So, sir, I want, if possible, if you can share some details about that tool or whatever that is, and we can go through that as well. Because as we had a talk with Grover G from your team, we came across with the HPLC and we shown our interest as well. Like
Okay.
we want to go with that, but there is no update yet. So let's see.
Sure, sir. I will check with Grover Ji and then we'll share the details with you.
I guess Grover G is here only.
Yeah, yeah.
Anshul, I'll get back to you on this for the comparison between NIR and HPLC in detail on a VC. I will contact you and sync up both and we'll get back on this.
Okay, sir. Okay.
My microphone rain. Hello.
Any other question? So, sir, we have some questions in our chat box, and the first question is, it is from Mr. Raju, who wants to know how to reduce lactic acids and glycerol in fermentation.
Okay. So, good afternoon, Rajuji. So, basically, you are asking about two parameters. One is the lactic acid, another one is glycerol. Lactic acid basically forms in the fermentation due to contamination. So, when the contamination can come from a lot of sources when it comes to the ethanol fermentation, it may be from the feedstock or the raw material which we use from the different grains. The second one will be from the water, and third one is from the air. So we have to identify from which source it is coming, and accordingly we have to take the necessary action. So if and also at what place it is happening. If it is coming from the feedstock, probably we have to improve our raw material storage process, and then when we do the liquefaction or maybe saccharification, and then during filling time, we have to ensure we use proper antimicrobials to control it. And coming back to the glycerol, glycerol is an indicator of the stress. The stress on yeast can come from various sources. It may be sugar stress or the carbohydrate or whatever the starch which we are using in the fermenter, that could also create stress on yeast. And it could be the byproduct stress like the lactic acid, acetic acid, and the other byproducts which are formed by the contamination. Or sometimes it may be due to the ethanol also. Even though yeast produce ethanol, sometimes it has the each yeast strain is different from each one another. One yeast strain may be able to withstand 10% alcohol. Another strain may be compatible up to 12%, 13%, or 14%. So we have to see why it is coming under stress and producing glycerol. So if we do the HPLC analysis and then identify these parameters, if the sugar profile is more, if the sugars are not getting broken down immediately and are not being used, then we know that it could be due to the enzyme related challenge. If the byproducts like acetic acid and lactic acid are forming more, then we know it is due to the contamination issue. Then what we have to do is we have to take measures to reduce the contamination, so that automatically the stress on yeast will come down and yeast will produce lesser glycerol. And the third category would be maybe because the yeast strain is not competent enough to produce more alcohol. Nowadays we are running the plants at a higher DS. So if the yeast strain is not compatible with this higher DS, then obviously it will come under stress, and to save itself, it is like a coat, it is like a protective layer around the yeast. So it will start producing it. So these are the reasons. So depending on the reason, if we take appropriate action, the glycerol levels will also come down. So just to give you a crisp answer, lactic acid has to be reduced by controlling the contamination, and glycerol has to be controlled by reducing the stress on yeast. Coming to the next question, which I could see on the chat box, Mr. Giri Khannan, he is asking about how does lactobacillus enter the process in grain plant? Sir, lactobacillus, it is present in the food stocks, feedstock, and then it is also present in the effluents which we get. majority of the cases, if we see, all the RS will not get converted in to alcohol in our fermentation. So certain amount of sugars will be left over. So these leftover sugars, if these things are not properly treated in our effluent plants, like the CPUs and then the digesters, what will happen is these things will attract the contamination from air and from the earth, the soil, and then from the water. And when we try to recycle it, or when we try to use these streams in the fermentation, so it will again enter back into the fermenters. So the feedstock, the inputs, I would say in a simpler word, the input what we are using in the fermentation, whether it may be a water, it may be a feedstock, or it may be the products which we are using, if it is having the contamination of lactobacillus, it comes into the grain plant.
So the next question is from Sandeep Mahindra, and he is asking maximum possible fermentation efficiency in grain fermentation.
The maximum possible efficiency will be anywhere between 94 to 95%, sir, because we are using a microbiological organism which is nothing but yeast, which has to grow itself. It has to do its own activities. For example, we take food to do our activities. Similar way, yeast also needs to take some food to make itself alive and all those things. Considering all these factors, it is a theoretical one. Of course, it was proven also. We can achieve anywhere between 94 to 95% maximum. If someone claims more than that, then definitely it is some kind of mathematical error or maybe the calculation error. So maximum possible efficiency which we could achieve is 94 to 95%.
So the next question is from Dr. Vikas Gupta. You have already answered it. Next is Dr. Ritik Mishra, and he is asking what can we do to reduce formation of lactic acid and glycerol during fermentation?
So the best way to do it is ensure all your process inputs are properly maintained, or it has the right parameters without any contamination. So yes, I understand that it is very difficult to maintain all the inputs without contamination or without any of these byproducts. Then we have to take appropriate measures. In terms of lactic acid, if we don't want to increase it, then we have to use antimicrobials, which can kill the lactobacillus. And when it comes to the glycerol, yes, we use the right enzymes, the right set of enzymes, which can actually break down the starch or the sugars in a gradual way. See, anything high is harmful. Even if we eat a lot of food, it is harmful for us. The similar way, the yeast also needs these sugars at a certain level. If we look at the grain fermentation, any given point of time, if our sugar levels are between 5 to 6, then the fermentation runs smooth. So the enzymes has to work in a systematic, gradual way. So selecting the right enzymes will help in maintaining these sugar levels across the fermentation or throughout the fermentation. So that is one part. And second thing is, if we address the contamination issues, there won't be any stress on yeast. So by doing these two things, we can manage the glycerol part.
Sir, the next question is from Neeraj Pratap Mall, and he is asking time required for sample preparation to analyze lactic acid, glycerol, residual sugar, residual starch.
I presume that he may be asking about the HPLC sample preparation. So for HPLC sample preparation, normally it takes anywhere between 20 to 35 minutes. And after doing this 35 minutes of sample preparation, if we inject the sample, if we keep the sample in HPLC, again it takes 45 minutes to complete the run. So it will be 35 plus 45, and after that analysis of the results and other things put together, it will be around another 20 to 30 minutes. So whole thing put together, if any one sample, it takes anywhere between 2 hours to 2.5 hours, where it will give all these parameters to us. If we process one sample in one single run, we can get lactic acid, glycerol, residual sugars and residual starch in one run of HPLC.
The next question is from Sanjay Singh. As per your discussion, the all parameter of viability depends on the grain quality. Then what is the role of machines? We are already checking the all parameters which is necessary to maintain, as we have wide experience and known the behavior of fermentation process?
Sir, as I mentioned it to you, yes, the methods currently being used are gold standards. For example, we are monitoring or we are measuring the RS. But if the RS levels are coming high, so what action we have to take? Whether we have to improve the yeast dosage, or whether we have to improve the enzyme dosage, or we have to improve, maybe manage the temperatures or pH. We don't know. It is only an indicator for us. But if we exactly know the composition of the RS, that's what the DP profile. If we know how much DP4 is present, how much DP3 is present, how much DP2 is present, how much DP1 is present, then accordingly the actions what we take will be data driven. For example, if I have more DP4, that means somewhere my enzyme is not efficient, or maybe it is not working in an efficient way. Either I have to tweak with the enzyme dosage, or maybe I have to check the temperature and pH. If my DP1 is more, that means my yeast is not able to convert all the DP1 into alcohol. So it is an indicator that your yeast is not performing. So DP4 will give us an idea like why the conversion is not happening due to enzymes. DP1 will give us an indication why yeast is not able to convert the DP1 or the glucose into alcohol. But when we look at the RS per se, it is very difficult to differentiate between these two. And again, majority of these cases, to reduce the RS, at least based on my experience, what I have seen is people either will dose more urea. अच्छा RS कम नहीं हो रहा है तो थोड़ा यूरिया डालो and then like try to do it, or maybe थोड़ा सा enzyme डालो. So these actions which we are doing is only based on the guess, and it is not exactly on the root cause. Yes, you are right. We are doing it. That is the reason in the beginning of the conversation when we started the webinar, I said initial days we were happy with 80-85% efficiencies. But as and when we are getting these technologies and we know how to monitor and how to counter these things, we are moving towards the better efficiencies, now above 90%. So yes, the gold standards will give us an indicatory results, but if we want to exactly understand and then troubleshoot, these advanced technologies will be more useful.
So the next question is from Anindya Roy. How much sugar percent can be consumed by yeast during fermentation?
Sir, there is no limit in terms of the total sugar consumption. It is like if you run the process continuously, even yeast can run 365 days without doing it. In fact, if we remember the good olden days, the fermentation is on the continuous mode. Now we are doing it in the batch mode. There are continuous fermentation where the sugar will be keep on added, which is getting converted into ethanol, and then we will be keep on extracting it out. But when it comes to the batch fermentation mode, as I mentioned in my previous answer, anywhere between 5 to 6% would be the tolerable limit for yeast. So what we have to do is, at any given point of time, our sugar levels, if are maintained between 5 to 6% in the fermenter, then the yeast will be able to do a better job.
So the next question is from Bala Saheb Lohar, and he is asking how to control the VAR during recycling the thin slope in the grain fermentation plant. What will be the maximum volume of thin slope recycled back to the fermentation?
So this depends on the VA. The control of VA is like if we can actually run the fermentation smooth in a better way with the maximum efficiency, then the accumulation of these volatile acids won't be there. So the better we run the fermentation, the levels will be lower for these VA. So when we are recycling it, if the VA levels are low, then there won't be any challenge. The maximum volume of thin slope recycling depends on a lot of parameters. One parameter is VA definitely. And the second parameter is the other byproducts. VA will not give us the complete byproduct profile. So how much other byproducts are present? For example, lactic acid, and then higher acids, higher alcohols, how much they are there, and then what would be the contamination level? Because some leftover sugars will also come in thin slope. In that case, it will be very difficult to ascertain how much volume we can recycle on a generalized basis. So what we have to do is we have to analyze the thin slope parameters. Yes, we can do that using HPLC also. And then based on that, we can decide how much recycling can be possible.
The last question in the chat box is from Manthan Mishra. Does coliform and E. coli bacteria present in water affect alcohol fermentation efficiency? How?
It will affect, sir, because these bacteria, after some point of time, once the alcohol starts forming, it will die. It won't be completely viable. But what happens is, till the alcohol levels are getting accumulated, this bacteria will start eating the sugars which are present in the fermenter. So it is obviously a competition between yeast and these bacteria. And one more challenge is yeast actually, if it is happening in the PF, pre-fermenter, yeast will take 90 minutes to double. Yeast will take 90 minutes to become 2 cells, whereas this E. coli and coliform bacteria will take only 20 minutes. That means in 20 minutes, it will take it will make another generation, whereas yeast will take 90 minutes. So if we look at it, this particular equation, by the time yeast will become 1 to 2, this will become 1 to 8. So what happens is, the more number of coliform bacteria or any other bacteria comes into the picture, it will start eating more sugars. So in that way, it will not make the sugars available for the yeast to convert it. So in the other way, we will be losing the yields, alcohol yields or efficiencies.
Any other questions from the participant side? Okay, since
I'm
there
having
is
one,
no.
I am having one small question for Dr. Pavan.
Yes, sir, please
Dr.
ask.
Pavan, what is the gold standard, HPLC or the NIR? And what about the calibration package? How can we get the calibration package? If because I have spoken to Parton, they are giving us the US package for the calibration. So how can we domesticate this whole package?
Sir,
If
sorry, yeah, please continue, sir. If your
no,
question is
I think you understood my question.
yeah. So to answer your first question, both technologies are gold standards only. It is like we are taking different routes. For example, I am going to some place where I am taking a car and someone else is taking a train. The only difference is different modes we are using it. Both these technologies are very well accepted across the globe. Of course, in India, NIR is having very less acceptability as of today, but yes, it is coming up very fast. So both the technologies, we could say that they are reliable and they are comparable. Coming back to the second question in terms of the calibration packages, so I think all these instrument vendors who are providing the instruments, they will be definitely having these calibration packages. So we have to ask them to provide it. Of course, because of this pricing, and then they have to reduce the price, or maybe some bargaining is happening. So majority of the people, what they do is simply they won't provide the right calibration packages, because that comes with some amount of money. They had put hard efforts to develop those packages, and then if we properly not scout for it, they may not provide it in terms of in the pretext of reducing the pricing. So what we have to do is we should not compromise on that particular pricing. Maybe we can bargain on it and then take the right packages with any instrument vendor. And coming back to the question of Perton, I think Perton is also having an Indian calibration pack, which we have to ask them separately. If we ask them
Okay,
separately
good
to
to know.
provide it, then definitely they can help you out with that. So Perton has two calibration packages. One was developed on the US feedstock and US process, and second one is on the Indian feedstock and Indian process conditions. So if we can ask them, they will provide that.
Thank you, Dr. Pavan. Thanks for the clarity.
Yeah, of course. As I mentioned it to you, it will come with a price. We should not buy the car and hesitate to fill the fuel.
Any other
Pavan
question?
sir?
Yes, sir, please.
Hello. As
Yes,
you
please.
mentioned, both machines are gold standard, right?
Yeah.
Like HPLC and this NIR machine. Then why it's limited into India, the NIR machine? Are there any limitations of that machine? Like you mentioned, it provides prompt results like very fast than HPCL technology, HPLC technology. Then why it's very limited in India?
Sir, the only difference is if we compare in the good olden days, we used to have only diesel cars. Uske baad, later we got petrol cars. Now we are getting EV cars.
So
So
we'll be getting flexible as well.
yeah, flex as well. So it is not happening in a sudden way. It is actually taking time for the adaptation. So this technology was adapted outside India very fast. I mean, they also took some time, but the adaptation time was very fast. In India, it
Okay.
started. Of course, in feed industry and then lot of food industries, if we go, the NIR is very widely used in those industries. Even for the same starch analysis and then protein analysis, oil analysis, ash content, many other parameters, the food industries are widely using these NIR machines. The only thing is because of the pricing and of course, as I mentioned it to you, the calibration package availability. So they did not see our industry as a very good marketable industry as of yesterday, but things has changed, and thanks to the ethanol blending policy and then government reforms and all these things which are coming up, geopolitical scenarios. So now these people also understood that this industry is also having a good value for them. So they started developing these packages. Now these packages are available. So yes, the adaptability it is only at our end, how quickly we will be able to use it.
So basically, if I'll set up one of these machines, then I can expect better yield, better recovery in my ethanol plant, right?
Yes,
So,
you
and
can
plus with
have the
controlled
control.
efficiencies.
Yeah, you can have total control on your process, how my process is running, and wherever it is deviating, you can actually take the actions, appropriate actions, with the
So,
data
sir,
backed up actions.
so you already set up a few machines in other plants. Then, are there any practical example that you can give me? Like earlier, there was this particular yield of 380. Then, after setting up these machines, having control on the process part, what is the difference, change in percentage in the yield?
But change in
Like
percentage,
on
as
an
we know,
average,
as we know, every day the feedstock input will be keep changing, the DS will be keep changing, right? So it will be very difficult to exactly quantify. But what I could say is, probably in a year time, even less than a year, we could recover the amount of money we are spending on these machines.
Okay.
Not only that, we can improve. I mean, we can gain a lot of in other process improvements also.
But sir, what is the percentage of change in like?
The percentage of change, as we are also now only keeping it and then doing it, what I could see is at least definitely there is 1 to 2% improvement in the alcohols.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? So
Sanjay sir, probably you can write to us. My email ID was provided at the end. So our team will give you the better insights where the installations were done, because I am from R&D and I have very limited access to that data where these machines were installed. But yes, across India, in different regions, these machines were installed by our people. Yeah.
So since there is no more questions from the participant side, let us conclude the webinar. So we are very thankful to Dr. Pavan Kumar sir as a valuable knowledge partner. Sir, please accept a token of appreciation from GEMA. Thank you for your
so much,
time.
ma'am. Thank you very
all
much for your time, and
participation.
thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time, for your participation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you. Good day.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.